Welcome to the Arena Decklist YouTube channel. We are back with some more Pioneer action. I'm Jerry Thompson. I'm going to be battling against Brian Gottlieb on Magic Online with some Pioneer decks. And, of course, these decks were loaned to us by the fine folks at Card Hoarder. So if you are not looking to invest in your own collection, definitely look into their card loaning service. Highly recommend it. Very quick. We're able to just return decks, borrow new ones within seconds. It's actually crazy.
It's incredible. Yeah, it's totally changed the way I would otherwise be engaging with this modern format. So they do sponsor us, but straight up, top-notch product. Totally recommend it if you're looking to get into Pioneer.
Yeah, I kind of like sometimes the aspect of having a collection. It's like, oh, this card went up, so I'll sell it. But the prices have been so volatile in Pioneer that I just don't want to mess with it. I would much rather have this service and not have to deal with having my own collection. So
Totally agree.
It's been awesome.
Yep.
But yeah, we are, Brian's playing Sultai, same as from the last video, and I am trying out a version of Mono Red, which has had some success online in the leagues, but probably not the amount of success that I would expect considering how heavy the power level is in Mono Red just in general.
Yeah, it hasn't quite cracked the top 8 of obviously there's only been one challenge and one PTQ. Not really getting into the elimination rounds thus far. I have some thoughts on the way Mono Red has been built, including how you built it, so we can talk more about that when we get to sideboard. I think is the time I want to bring up that point. Because I do think the deck has legs and should probably be a bigger part of the format than it presently is.
Word. Well, my hand is a little land heavy, but we are good to go.
Yeah, mine's acceptable as well. Mana's a little off, but we can make that work.
Not enough Bomat Couriers in this format, because this card is nice.
Yeah, it's a powerful card.
To be fair, there was a bit where the Sultai decks were playing Liliana the Last Hope main deck and stuff, so not the best card in the face of that, but even against like Gilded Goose, like things like Dreadhorde Butcher got kind of brickwalled by that card in Standard, but in this it's like, yeah, you get to block my thing, but whatever, like I'm still getting the cards under it.
Right. Yeah, this isn't about the damage here. This is about the card advantage.
Yeah, and then Eidolon of the Great Revel is just one of the strongest cards in the format that I think very few people are actually playing.
Very, very solid Magic card, to be sure. Already the decisions. When all your cards cost 1, the decisions get complicated real fast.
Yep.
So I have multiple ways to answer Eidolon the Great Revel, up into and including Oko Thief of Crowns. And I have some concerns about just like giving you a 3/3 and letting you bash against me for a long time. But
yeah,
you can't really ignore Oko, right? Like if I make an Oko, you are at least attacking into that, and I have bought myself a whole lot of life as well as a removal spell. The alternative is I just fire a removal spell at the Eidolon of the Great Revel and try and set up a more protected Oko in the future. The problem with that plan is I don't actually have a blue source in my hand. So I think that's the real squeeze here, and it is really informing exactly what I'm going to do on this particular turn. It's a close decision. Close decision to be sure.
Mysteries.
Yeah.
So many mysteries.
I think we're going to do the greediest play. And the greediest play on my end is to play a tapped Overgrown Tomb and just pass the turn.
Interesting. All right. Suspect, Brian.
Yeah.
Tank for forever.
Do nothing.
Sheepishly pass the turn.
Well, that is the way I like to play the game. You know that by now. Okie doke.
So you could block in Abrupt Decay, and I am likely going to do this turn anyway, so I'm just going to slash and take the 2 from the Eidolon. Don't think my life total is going to matter all that much.
Yeah, I think you're right. So that was like the big downside of not using Goose there, is now I'm cut off from blue pretty hard, which is a little scary.
Yeah, for now at least.
Right.
Deck has like 12 blue sources or something. So.
Just headed to end step. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you go Oko there and make Eidolon into a 3/3, you're taking 2 damage. I get to attack the 3/3 at Oko and then shock it. And you just peeled Watery Grave.
Just peeled
anyway.
blue source. Yeah, must be.
And now you get to +1 on your food. Is that it? Or you just make a mountain of food?
I think it's +1. I think here it's +1. And then you hope to get to the next turn, and then it becomes mountain of food for sure. Now, if you're able to play through this spot, it speaks very highly of your red deck. I'll say that.
Well, I'll see what I can do. I mean, I had 1-drop and a 2-drop, and then not a lot of follow-up, so obviously that's not ideal.
Right.
And at this point, I'm just going to cash in the Courier for 4 cards. And
Yeah, good little refresh.
We'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, you get to untap with Oko, which is obviously not where I want to be. And had a pretty dead mountain left over. Yeah, sure. Just jam so spear.
Yeah, now that loyalty quickly going to get out of control.
Yeah, I'm going to have to devote a lot of resources to killing this, probably, or just build a big enough battlefield presence that I can kind of ignore it, but at that point... Ooh, Thoughtseize. That's not bad. Yeah, at that point, if I have a big enough battlefield presence, I can probably just attack down the Oko with relative ease, so...
Right.
But yeah, I think that's probably one of the problems with the red decks, right? Is that they are all very low to the ground and can't necessarily beat an Oko, whereas my deck has a little bit more staying power, which I think is important.
For sure.
I would love to build a red sort of deck where I could actually utilize Fiery Temper too. That would be great.
Yeah, though, like having access to 1 damage or 3 damage for 1 mana is a really big deal, and it would obviously take some finagling, but.
I drew another Stoke. I mean, the numbers just do not line up, obviously. But...
Right, it is close. Gave its best effort.
Yeah. And then we will try again with his other copter next turn, I suppose.
Well, as of now, it does look good. I'll tell you that. And I think there's a real question here if I just want to seize the offensive, which is weird. For sure. Like, denying myself access to a lot of life. But I also have a pretty effective clock. You have no cards in hand. I guess Ramanap, does that change the math at all? If you ever draw a creature, it makes it way worse to try and get aggressive here. This is an interesting spot.
No comment.
Interesting spot.
I think I would have been pretty well off too if you just bricked on Oko for a turn.
I buy that. It was pretty critical.
Nice.
All right. I'm going to do the Bryan thing, and that is play it safe.
Yep.
Play it safe.
Yep.
I don't know if that's correct here, but... That's going to get a little froggy.
You have a Tassiger too?
I do.
Gee, how am I supposed to beat this?
It's a fair question.
Why can't that just be a dig through time?
It would be much worse. Yeah, Tasigur has really shown through in basically every match we've played thus far. Like, just getting that mana efficiency is such a big deal. So I sit at a virtual 18. 7 power on the battlefield.
Big follow-up.
We just want to do this right off the bat, I believe. Not great.
Makes your decision easy. For whatever that's worth.
Yeah, I do appreciate that. Thank you so much for that, Magic Online.
Let's get like a light up the stage. How's that sound? That could let us do some nonsense.
Equips with 1 damage. Okay, they're both coming.
I accept your pain, your damages.
Do your worst. I'm a little scared as I say that, but...
Not sure what that looks like exactly. It is nice that I am not looking at lethal next turn.
Yet.
From what I can tell.
Yet. Well, there's this Oko in the graveyard, right? And a Tasker activation coming.
Oh, sure.
Which has to be at least a little scary. Fall to 8. Alright, let's spin the wheel. Oh, wait, I'm supposed to click that first.
Yeah.
Got it.
Here, you can have Thoughtseize.
Oh, I don't want Thoughtseize.
Enjoy, my friend.
That's the least of what I wanted. Okay. Interesting little draw.
Alright, so you can't transform Jace yet. That's good. You're keeping Thoughtseize over Blooming Marsh. Interesting. I guess you just... If you're Tassigering again, that makes sense. But I don't think you can really do that. You probably have to crack food this turn.
Yeah, I probably have to gain life here, I believe.
Still both coming, huh?
Yeah, I just don't think you have the damage output.
What am I supposed to do here?
I'm assuming that means removal spell, but we shall see.
Yeah, I might actually need this mana on my next turn, depending on what happens, but I definitely want to be able to use my mana this turn. I ain't got no skull cracks, man.
Just gotta be safe. No, I know you don't have Skullcrack.
It's the Bryan way.
Always safe. The safest possible play at all times. We know that. Can you 12 me?
I mean, the answer is yes, and I'm just going to try and go for it.
It's gonna work.
So I think if you had a push, you would probably use that alongside the Jace and transform.
It's gonna work.
So got a little lucky to find the second lightning strike there, but I think a lot of cards would have let me actually keep playing.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, that means I win if I thought seize, right?
Well,
Because it's +1 life.
yeah, but like I had mana open too, so I just get to like strike
You do it
you,
in response. Yeah, yeah.
and then it's like I didn't have to Ramanap ruins you, right? So I think you still lose.
Right. Okay. So I also had Vraska Golgari Queen in hand. I don't think that matters. So probably it's the turn where I don't plus on food, right? Like if that second food was irrelevant, then not attacking in that one turn is the window where I lose.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. You know, I had a little voice in my head saying, Gerry criticizes you for not being aggressive when you can and letting the game stretch on too long, and I let
Yeah.
it stretch on. It's a good lesson to learn for sure.
All right, so I like Wild Slash a decent amount because of the Goose specifically, and Jace to a lesser extent, and then I think some amount of Stokes have to stay in because of Courser and it just being like a high damage output burn spell.
Hmm.
So like the 3 toughness stuff for Lightning Strike is not super relevant, but I don't have a lot to bring in. Just Hazoret Roast, and then I have to find a couple other cards to cut.
So the thing I wanted to talk about was Searing Blood, and I mentioned whether you'd want Searing Blood in this matchup. I do think like no is defensible, but also if you played Searing Blood in your main deck, you would live with it in this matchup. Like it has enough targets, and this was a lesson we learned back at Magic Origins, the PT, where like Jace became the main deck control card, so you could start playing Searing Blood main, and it made a huge difference for the mono red decks. And when I think about the format at large, I think it's a main deck Searing Blood format. Like I think that
Yeah,
spell is powerful enough that you really can get some edge by playing it.
yeah. So the thing is that you already have Wild Slash, and if you play Blood instead of Lightning Strike, then there is just like this critical juncture between like 2 and 3 toughness where you have like too many things that go after 2 and not enough that hits 3. So I think it's better to just play a mix and then go from there, but I could certainly be wrong about that.
Sure. So my plan, I cut my two Nissas. They're just too expensive and big to do anything really in the matchup. There's only really 3 cards I want in my sideboard. I grabbed a Kalitas and 2 Negates.
Elias is another reason to keep in Stoke.
Yeah, the last cut I made was Assassin's Trophy. Maybe I could find a better, like maybe a Thoughtseize is a better cut, but usually you trade Thoughtseize at plus life in most instances. So I think it's a little bit better than Assassin's Trophy here, where it's just not super efficient removal, and you use your mana well. Like you proved that in that last game. So
Yeah, turns 3 and 4 were not great, but then obviously once I got like the burst from Bomat and started looting with Copter, it was just like, yeah, I'm using all of my mana every turn. I would be fine with shaving a Thoughtseize, but I definitely have high impact cards like all along the curve where one Thoughtseize is not that bad.
right. Think we're looking at a keepable 7 here, but it is close.
My hand is straight gasoline.
Well, that's a little scary. The decision I have to make here is how much damage I would like to take from my shoplands, if any. Can I afford to play this game a little bit slower?
Yeah, I mean, by playing it slower, you inevitably end up taking more damage too, so you have to kind of weigh that.
Right. It's the crack fetch principle.
One of my favorite cards of all time, Bomat Career, somehow.
I buy that.
I'm not really like a red, aggressive, attack you kind of person, but I have played mono red a decent amount lately, and I did top 8 of GP with Bomat Career, so. I mean, one of the reasons I don't necessarily like these decks is that you kind of just run out of gas, and Bomat is just so good.
Good solution for that, yeah.
Copter also does more of the same thing, happens to work pretty well with Bomat.
Yeah, I'm at the point where I just have to spend some mana now, so... Bloop.
Oh, I feel like this thing is probably just worth pushing regardless, but... I don't know. Maybe you're saving it for Eidolon or something.
Yeah, my fear was that due to the nature of my hand, if you had Eidolon there, I was in a lot of trouble if I didn't keep up that fatal push. Okay,
And it's just 1 damage to check me too to see if I have it. But it's also possible I just might lead with Copter over Eidolon.
Well, this does not bode well for us, but we do have to take this Rabble Master, I believe.
Rabble Master, like Copter into Rabble Master is super sick.
Yeah, that's a nice setup. Missed our third land drop. Could prove to be fatal.
Yeah, so now I have the weird dilemma of do I want to get a card under Bomat or do I want to loot with Copter? And I think I just want to loot, actually.
Yeah, the damage certainly has to play into that decision, right?
A little bit, yeah. It's kind of worth a card, depending on how the game is going to play out. I think Copter's good in this deck, but it's also kind of weird because a lot of your creatures that you could be crewing it with are not incidental, you know?
Right.
So, like, you're always giving up something when you do actually crew a Copter, which kind of makes me think I might only want, like, 2 or 3 of them.
That's interesting. I think Copter's kind of a fun Magic card to play with.
A lot of micro decisions.
Things have gotten pretty good for you over there.
Yeah, I peeled running 1-drops. Obviously very nice.
Tough life. I guess we were supposed to deny you one of these. My bad.
You're gonna kill a Copter? Or...
Yeah.
Okay, I just won't loot with this.
Pop that now. Be gone.
I guess I could have done a thing where I crew a Copter and go to combat, and then if you want to kill one, I can just crew the other one with it.
Yeah.
And then I get to attack with an extra thing, but it might... Yeah, I guess I would get another Bomat card. All right, so I'm gonna...
No, that's actually like a really small optimization, but you can definitely do it every time, and that'll come up a bunch for people, I think.
Yeah.
Worth pointing to.
Yeah, so I could have another point of damage and a card under a Bomat, and obviously I just drew another 1-mana card, use my mana every turn. Deck is gas.
Oh, we missed again. That probably about does it for us. I can't see us playing out of this position, but we will put up the good fight.
I mean, that's good.
It's good. Good-ish.
I'm down a Copter.
Now, I have been prioritizing keeping Goose open as a blocker on this turn rather than playing a different spell. I think it's right here. Maybe not.
So I'm going to attack with these two. I'm going to get the card from Bomat and then cash that in for 2 cards. Oh, I yielded to the Copter. I'm stupid. I wanted to bust the Bomat and then loot.
Right. There's no way I can get you back to that, right?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
Can you, like, sack a food with Goose and then undo it or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if that'll get you to where you want to be anyway.
I assume you're just going to block Bomat with Tassigurs. So
right.
Lost that now.
Yeah. That's fine.
And so far, I have not had to play against any sweepers or anything, so I'm just going to take 3 points to run out another tiny animal.
Yeah, so I have Witch's Vengeance in the sideboard, which if you look at this battlefield, it's okay here. Like, I pick off 3 things, but I'm not sure how often that's going to be the case.
Yeah, it's more relevant if you're playing against like spirits or humans.
How can I possibly play through that Eidolon? So I drew a Fatal Push. I can Fatal Push Eidolon. That's fine. Could Fatal Push Smuggler's Copter. But then I don't get to play the Scavenging Ooze. I also have 2 Courser of Krufix in hand.
Oh, damn.
So, like, I think this game could have went pretty well had lands came off the top, but...
Yeah, you got a lot of cards that are good against me, for sure.
I think in this present situation, I do not see any way out. Best play is Courser. 1, 2... Yeah, I'm still dead to anything. Okay, we're going to concede. Even food, not accomplishing a whole lot. I guess do nothing, sacrifice food is like half a thing, and maybe you make a bad attack. Hey, make a bad attack. I'm going to pass the turn to you.
Okay. We'll see what I draw. Maybe I just draw a roast.
Right, just kill me on the spot.
So I drew a Soulscar Mage, and assuming you have 1 removal spell, I could play Soulscar, use that to crew the copter, attack with everyone, and then you could maybe block Bomat, kill Eidolon, or like block Eidolon, kill copter, and then take 3 damage, 5 damage with Eidolon. I mean, I think that's probably what I'm supposed to do. You call it a bad attack. I just call it an attack.
Yeah, I think either way, the outs are slim, right?
I don't know. Is it better if I just don't attack with Eidolon, I guess?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah, because I get in, makes you kill the copter, you take 2 from that, you get to block Goose on something, and then block kill, so you take 2 damage by me attacking with all these ground creatures.
I could put Goose in front of the copter too, but like that doesn't sound great.
So me attacking with Eidolon would get you for an extra point, but would allow you to kill the copter. So yeah, I think I just want to do this.
Yeah, that looks right to me. So do I have to block with Goose in this situation regardless? So I'll fall to 5 if I kill Eidolon.
And most stacks, I think there's a lot of reasons to just mill yourself for 1, but this deck doesn't have like any delve or really any graveyard shenanigans, so.
The messed up thing too is you could crack this Bomat Courier and get a card that allows you to prowess.
Yeah.
So like I'm trying to think what optimal blocks are here. Like I said, I think there's very little chance it matters. But maybe I'm just supposed to let the Bomat Courier through? So you're incentivized not to crack it? That seems insane though.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, things kind of get worse for you next turn, right? Where I could have a second card under it and then have more prowess things attacking.
Yeah.
But this could also get me land 5 for Ramanap Ruins. I don't know. Definitely not a good spot for you. Yeah, I feel like you have to block with Goose, and then you have to block something with Tasigur. And then what you block with Tasigur, I don't really know what is correct.
Did we get there?
Sort of, not really.
Sort of, not really. Okay. We'll fall to 2 here.
F6, my friend.
Really, Blooming Marsh? Now you want to come to the party?
You have another push?
Do I?
Yeah.
It'd be nice if I did. I'd feel really good about myself. It's gonna be a yikes for me.
Seems like it should be good enough.
What do we hit? I'm too lazy to look. Oh yeah, that's good enough.
You know what? I'm not even going to crew the copter.
How dare you?
Yeah, I could build this deck to be a little more prowess efficient, but I think it's like just good enough, and I would much rather have threats that stand on their own and then have the occasional turn where the prowess things are good, but
Sure.
it is tough. Like there's a lot of different deck building aspects for just mono red.
No,
Which I think
it looked really impressive there. Granted, I stumbled on mana in this game too, and maybe threw away game one. But just in general, like the type of things you're doing as a red deck, they check those red deck boxes for me. Like I need certain things to align myself with a red deck. I need some form of card selection. I need some kind of card advantage, just make me not play those games where you just sit there and die immediately. And this deck seems to have that in spades, really. Like Smuggler's Copter is a huge tool, light up the stage. All these things come together really nicely.
Yeah, and then you just have persistent sources of damage with like Eidolon too. You have good colorless lands. Oh yeah, Mutavault was another thing that I wanted to try.
Yeah. I mean, how many colorless pips are we floating around here? Not too many, right?
I mean, you have all the artifacts. Eidolon is obviously the one that makes it bad. But if you're trying to curve up to like Rabblemaster, Hazoret, whatever, then I think Mutavault's good.
Okay.
I could see definitely playing one Mutavault main, and then if I was going to sideboard a land because I wanted to bring in some more 4-drops or whatever, then I could see having another Mutavault in the sideboard, and that just helps play a longer game, which I like.
Okay, cool. I mean, there's a lot of takes on red still left for this format. I'm curious to see where they go, but I think this is a nice starting point. If you are a red mage, definitely check out Gerry's deck list. It is down in the description below. We'll link you over to Scryfall, and you can take a peek at the deck list, download it, and get to battling on MTG Online. And we will be back shortly with some more Pioneer here on the Arena Decklist YouTube page.